Hello, and welcome to DeusLower. If this is your first time joining us, then it's so wonderful to meet you. And if it isn't and you're returning, then it's so wonderful to have you back. My name is Rosa, I'm a digital artist, and today I'm working on a little bit of indulgent art just for me. So, I am in a D&D 5th edition campaign, and I love it. I am having so much fun, and I play a Fey-touched ranger named Knaphe. Knaphe has been featured in several speed paints that are already on the channel. I am sure that I'm putting a couple of the thumbnails on the screen right now, and she might even be the recommended video at the end of this speed paint, so please feel free to click on her and learn a little bit more about her story and enjoy Knaphe. But someone who hasn't made as much of an appearance on the channel yet is Maksim. Maksim is another character from this 5e campaign. He is not an actual dragon as he is depicted here. He is a dragonborn, or in the campaign it is homebrew, they are called like dragonkin, but it's basically the same thing. I will put up some art of Maksim so you can take a look at him as well. He's a lovely guy. He is a bronze dragonborn, and because we are a couple of years into this campaign and we've gotten a feel for these characters and their dynamics with one another, we've reached the point where, of course, what is it called? AU hell? You know, you start spiraling out into different ideas, you have a lot of fun, you're like, ooh, what if we put our characters in this situation or that situation? And I've definitely reached that point with Knaphe and Maksim. Now, in their home campaign, these two have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship. They definitely bother each other quite a bit. They try to get on each other's nerves more often than not, but as of recently, they've actually been doing a lot more kind of mutual support. It used to be that Knaphe would kind of try to get on Maksim's nerves or kind of rile him up a little bit, and Maksim kind of would have this little bit of a banter back, but we've been through a lot in campaign recently, including a trip to Knaphe's home country of Rune, and that's left her feeling insecure. She's needed some support, she's needed someone there on her side, and Maksim has very much been there for her in a way that I think has surprised a lot of members of the party. It's kind of surprised me, OOC, in a way, as Knaphe's player. But Maksim has definitely been a force in Knaphe's life right now, who is really trying to make sure that she feels supported. He sees that she needs someone there watching her back, or wanting to be on her side, fighting for the thing that she needs them to fight for, and he isn't afraid to fill that slot. And for that, Knaphe is really, really grateful. It's brought them much closer together as a duo within the campaign, and it makes me really excited to see what happens next. Now, Maksim does have a bit of a crush on Knaphe. He and another member of the party named Tacitus, who is a Leonin, they both have, I'm going to say, varied feelings for Knaphe. I don't want to speak on either of their behalf, obviously, but Tacitus and Knaphe have ideals that very much align with one another, wanting to do good, make a name for yourself. Tacitus would say explicitly he wants to walk the path of glory and do well by his goddess, who is Frosla. In our homebrew campaign, Frosla is the goddess of kind of like victory in combat. She is a very warrior-oriented goddess, and if you want to be a paladin of Frosla, then it better mean that you are out there taking on big challenges and walking the path of glory. Maksim's a bit different. He's a bruiser, he is a pugilist, and while he has an internal code of ethics and honor, it's not anything so divine. Back when he lived in the Free Cities, Maksim was a mob boss. Oops. And since the events of the campaign, has really had to come to terms with the fact that he did not treat people well that were under his command, as it were. And a lot of that questioning has come from Tacitus, the two of them kind of, not waging against each other, but, having to deal with these sort of dueling personalities and dueling motives. But both of them have varying degrees of feelings for Knaphe, and Knaphe has varying degrees of feelings for them. Now, Maksim, very jealous of Tacitus. I don't think that that's a surprise to anybody within the campaign. It was revealed through sort of some stuff that happened that Maksim was rather jealous of the fact that Tacitus got to comfort Knaphe when she was going through a really hard time, which might have motivated him as we move into this new arc in Rune to be a little bit more supportive of her. He sees what works. If you are supportive and kind to the person that you like, surprise, they may just reciprocate the way that you feel. Not to say that that's how every relationship works. And also, of course, don't just comfort someone and be nice to them because you want to get with them. But when you are stuck in close proximity with people together, you end up developing relationships, whether those are rivalries or friendships or romantic connections. And Knaphe and Maksim have kind of had the space to kind of teeter along this edge of like, are they going to be friends? Are they kind of like bantery? Not rivals, but are they kind of annoyances to each other? Are they kind of romantic? Like, what's going to happen? Me personally, I love like being at the table, watching all of this happen, and being able to take in the sort of evolving situation that is the Knaphe Tacitus Maksim issue. And I love it as an issue. I think it's very fun. But when you have characters and you've been playing with them for a while, you do tend to fall into the AU space just because it's fun. It's fun to see your characters in a different setting and a different situation. And in this case, we were talking about Knaphe as a knight. She is a wanting knight of runes. She would like to be a knight of runes, but we're like, what if she was a knight? And what if Maksim, instead of being a dragonborn or a dragonkin, was like an actual dragon? So we have like, ooh, the knight versus the dragon. Knaphe is a noble's daughter. She's not a princess. She would be a baroness if she took on the family title. But the idea of like, ooh, is she like a princess? Is she a knight? Is she a princess knight? Is she gonna slay this dragon? Is she trying to stop this dragon from doing something? It's all spiraling out from there. But the idea behind the construction of this image was, we're supposed to be in a battle against each other. We're supposed to be going up against each other, but wow, you're so beautiful. And that sort of trope reversal of like Knaphe looking at this dragon, looking at Maksim being like, wow, you're beautiful, like your beautiful bronze golden scales, instead of him looking at her and being like, oh wow, you're so beautiful. And I had a lot of fun constructing sort of like, I'll say the anatomy of the image, the posing, since I wanted it to be almost circular. The image of Knaphe and Maksim sort of like looking at each other, and you can see this sort of two diagonal planes where I have Knaphe on the ground, curved downwards and across, and then Maksim is upwards, curving across and then down. So together, when you look at them, you have a sort of complete circle, really emphasized by the shape of Maksim's tail. I wanted for them to together look like two halves of a circle coming together to make a full image. Now, as I've been working on this, obviously I've been talking through a lot of the rendering. I'm really happy with the way that Knaphe's armor is going. I wanted this rich goldeny bronze hue, and I think I've really been able to accomplish that. The ongoing struggle of Knaphe's face will never leave me. something about the upturned face, the way that I want her nose to be a bit bigger. So it's like, I don't want to be shy about the fact that you can see her nostrils. I want everything to be shaded up there. Half of her face that is in the shadow where Maksim's snout is, like, it should be in shadow. It should be harder to see. But maybe you have some advice for me. I always am trying to improve my art, so if you have a suggestion on how I can better get that shape and that shadow to work with the slightly like upturned jaw, please shoot me a comment. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I use layers of multiply. I use layers of add glow to really try and emphasize the different planes of the face. I don't know if it's just like I need to revisit my anatomy on this, like is it just difficult? But I'm having a really hard time getting this angle right. So if you have anything to assist me with this, please let me know. It's interesting in that with Maksim's face, I usually struggle a little bit with like kind of like, like his snout shape. Like, okay, he's got horns that go here. He has the fins that go out to the side. He has these little chin spikes around the jaw, which I know that Maksim's player was inspired by the way that Dragonborn are done in Baldur's Gate 3. Lots of really great references for that. But when I draw Maksim in his usual form, I sometimes will struggle with his head. And in drawing this version of Maksim as a dragon, I actually struggled a lot less. And I think it's just because I was able to let go of the idea of, oh, like this has to be kind of human-esque in this way. I need for the eyes to be oriented like front. I need for things to operate. And I was like, no, it's like a dragon. And I was able to kind of really commit to the sort of lizard anatomy of the skull and let go of those preconceived notions of, oh, well, it has to look a certain way because it's also a humanoid form. And that was great for me. I know that going forward with drawing Maksim just for fun, I'm going to be like really honing in on this idea where I'm like, okay, you can just draw him like it's a dragon. He has a dragon's head. You can do it. It's going to be fine. I also had a blast with these wings. I wanted them to be nice and big. I know that, as far as the ratio, I still don't think that they're quite big enough for my liking. When I see an illustration of a dragon and it's supposed to fly, I'm like, those wings better be enormous. I want them to be able to carry this dragon wherever they need to go, no questions asked, and I should not be asking myself, is that wingspan really going to be carrying that character that far? But I wanted to kind of limit the palette, or not the palette, but the size of the canvas on this. As you can see off to the right-hand side, I'm like, the other half of this wall is not my business. I do leave that, honestly, until the end through the completed image. I'm just so done with that side of the wall. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. And sometimes as an artist, you have to let things go and you have to say, well, I'm not really interested in drawing that part of the wall. I've done some detailing on the bricks over on the left-hand side of the image, and I can trust my audience to fill in the gaps where I want. And so that's exactly what I did. But the wings, as far as Maksim is concerned, I do like them. I think in my mind, I wish I could have extended them out even a little bit farther. But what's done is done. And I think that as far as the composition of the image, they really help to get like an even spread between the top of the canvas and the bottom of the canvas. I really like the drama of the two of them here. I love the way that Maksim's like forehand claw is clutching onto kind of like the supposed rail of this portion of the wall, how Knaphe is all slumped. For a while I actually questioned, like, am I gonna like bang up the armor? Am I gonna like make it look like, oh, they've been fighting for a while and now they've kind of like paused in the middle of their battle to really look at each other? Because that's also, as far as the tropes go, that's also a really, really good one, and it's really fun. But as far as this image went, I think I liked the idea of it being immediate. They look at each other and they're like, whoa, like just kind of knock you off your feet sort of feeling. And I wanted to commit to that. The two of them are very special to me. I love all of the characters in our Chains of Fortune campaign, which is its name, including Falfaso and Tacitus and Hetch and Knaphe and Maksim, of course. And we have some really cool NPCs, including Captain Buckhollow, who is the ghostly pirate captain who got us all into this mess. If you're interested in seeing any of these characters, not necessarily learning about them, but seeing them, there is another video on my channel where I do a speed paint, not of one of them, but of all of them in these big posters. And I actually gave them to members of the party for Christmas of last year. It was a really fun process, and I was really happy to document it, so I'm glad that I have that. Knaphe traditionally has silvery little thing. In this case, we have a bronze or a golden little thing. I was convinced by my friends as I was drawing to change Silver, as Silver gets to be in the AU too, even if he's not in his usual form. Now, these scales that I am putting in, I am not a masochist, but the way that I did this might convince everybody in my life differently. Because I was convinced, I was like, I'm going to individually scale every single part of Maksim. I'm going to do this. I can do it. I'm strong. And at this point in my drawing, it's like almost midnight. I am on call with my friends. I am dotting out all of these little scales. My wrist is cramping up. So I'm constantly adjusting the way that I'm holding my pen. And I just keep telling myself, it's worth it. It's worth it. Instead of using like a little scale brush or something, because I'm like, I can't get it to flow in the right way. It's all me, baby. I'm doing it. And honestly, I do really like the effect that it gives. I'm not really sure if in the final image it comes across exactly in the way that I want it to. With all the scales, maybe I could have done a couple more layers or done a different layer of kind of like add glow where I highlight certain scales, but I will be honest, sometimes done is good, and I was done with this image after I laid in all those damn scales. But here's the thing, Maksim's worth it. And when I do art of characters from any campaign that I'm in, whether that's Lancer or that's Chains of Fortune or Blades in the Dark or any campaign that I hold very true and dear to my heart, it makes the art worth doing. I'm really lucky in that I have a wonderful relationship with the other players in my campaigns. I have really wonderful friends that I've met along the way, and that they make such really amazing, compelling characters that make me convinced that I want to do art like this, that I want to stay up until dark noon 30 and do all these little tiny individual scales, because it matters. It matters to them. It matters to me. And I want to do these characters justice. And I know that a lot of people don't, they don't have that chance to have those experiences. So maybe I'll just say, if you haven't found a group like that yet, or you haven't found a campaign like that yet, then your keyword is yet. And I believe that you will get there. Keep hammering away at it. Go out there, put yourself out there, try to find people like you who are looking for the same things in the campaign that you are. And someday, you too will be in AU hell, writing 50 different scenarios in which your favorite OCs, your custom-made Blorbos will fall in love and fight and be in terrible situations together. You can do it. I believe in you. And I hope that you have a ton of fun doing it. So thank you guys so much today for joining me in this speed paint. Of course, I want to say thank you to my patrons who help me make art, but especially Banjo, Confogel Clips, and Deator. They're the best. And of course, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. You can hit like and subscribe. There will be another video on your screen if you'd like to check that out. And of course, if you like what I do, support me on Patreon. And remember, it's all gonna be okay. See you next time.